out of them. Although Prisoner of Azkaban is pretty good too. Anyways, enough Harry Potter talk. So the visual arts in West African culture. We're going to see lots of really cool sculptures. And another cool thing is we often only think of terracotta with the Chinese terracotta soldiers, but baked clay, it's something that people did all over the world. And we'll see some pretty cool human sculptures out of terracotta or baked clay in West Africa. We're also going to see that we're going to get bronze, copper, and brass also creating sculptures, which are pretty cool. But definitely one of my very favorite parts, besides the sculptures that they had, would be the masks that we see. And we often have these wooden masks here. And here are just some examples. And we talked about how when we were in Benin very briefly, how that the Oba were very popular with making masks. But we see this in many West African kingdoms and civilizations. And these masks could represent gods or spirits of the ancestors. They'd be used in dances for decoration. And I just think some of these masks are like really, really cool looking. I always like the bottom white one right there. I think that one's pretty cool. But, you know, I think everyone can pick, you know, their own favorite. A lot of kids used to like this one. But yeah, so we've got sculptures and masks here, very popular. When I was going and looking at houses before I bought this house, one of the houses was decorated on the wall with a couple of these masks. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever! West African masks! I got excited. Mrs. Kennedy didn't know why I was so excited. I tried to explain it, but you know how it goes. So, continuing on. Now, textiles are going to be a huge deal. Now, we're going to have a couple different kinds of textiles that we're going to see with West African culture. Stamped fabrics are going to be exactly what you think they are. You take fabric, a textile, then you get some ink and a stamp, and you stamp it. Ta-da! Stamped fabric. The fabrics. Ugh. So stamped fabrics. So something like this would be an example of a stamped fabric. And then there are story fabrics, which once again is exactly like it sounds. Here we have a beautiful little girl's bed sheet, which tells the story of Cinderella. It's the same kind of thing. You know, you can have these for all over. It might be a story glorifying the hunter against the lion. Hey there, Joel. Good to see you, sir. It could be, you know, a fairy tale. Now, it's a really cool, and I know Miss Bev would sometimes do this with Kitarinos, is you would do a plique, which where you would have the big fabric, and instead of going and like sewing, well, I guess that's actually what I was doing. So instead of going and like while you're making the fabric, having it all like embedded in, like weaving, you'd be like, well, I've got this Cinderella here, and then you sew the Cinderella on. You got like this castle, you sew that on. So like adding the small pieces to the bigger piece over top. Oh, and hello, Celeste. Good to see you there, darling. I'll cry, Lydia, but okay. Now, the most famous of all of these is going to be kente cloth, which is what we see here, in which you have small little strips of often silk, but it could be other fabrics, woven together in a design like this. And when I was talking about the Arabic robes, how they're adopted, often they made them out of kente cloth and had these beautiful, colorful designs like that. And we see this there. This is the biggest, most common thing, kente cloth. But even things like baskets, they were weaved in a way, like using this coil method, they made watertight baskets, which you don't often think of a basket as something watertight, but they figured it out. And I shouldn't have been worried because that's actually our notes today. That's it, all we had. I know, short and sweet. And then we're going to go do our Mr. Nicky song. Look at that. Yeah, Eli's like, nailed it. All right. So I'm stopping the recording. Do we have any questions or